What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of our Tactic Tester series. It has been a minute, but if you want a tactic that will deliver you 229 goals over 3 seasons and a Champions League trophy, well, this is the one for you. Let's get on with it. Now, before we get into what actually how the tactic works, let's have a look at the results, and we'll do it as we always do. If you haven't seen one of these videos before, we do 3 teams where we use Arsenal, AC Milan, and Barcelona, trying to get a feel for the different leagues. Each league is subtly different, and Arsenal are probably the outlier of the 3 teams. So let's have a look how they did. We finished 5th in the Premier League, 65 points. Not great. We got to the semi-finals of the FA Cup and knocked out at the round of 16 in the Europa League. So not a great season. I mean, what I would say is the 4 teams that are there, maybe not Chelsea, but the other 3 you would expect to finish above Arsenal. I've seen people say on comments on previous videos, if you've got a good tactic with Arsenal, you can win the league. The problem is Liverpool are so overpowered on this year's game, and Man City are ridiculous that you have to have a near perfect tactic. So let's have a look at how the league actually went. 38 games, 20 wins. We lost 13. So we didn't draw that many, which is good. 76 scored and 59 conceded. Far too many to concede. I mean, you look at Liverpool, they only conceded 23 goals all season. That's what I mean about Liverpool being overpowered on this year's game. In terms of the data hub then, if we have a look at that, goals per game, we averaged 2 goals a game, which was over half more than the rest of the league. Not expected penalty goals, 1.58. We were up again. Defensively, we were worse than the rest of the league, but shots per game, we're miles ahead. So creativity going forward, this tactic delivered, but defensively was pretty bang average. If we look at the team, then Gabriel Martinelli got 23 goals in 42 games. Eddie Nketiah got 24. And Gabriel Jesus got 18. There were a share of the assists between them as well. They actually got 41 assists between them. Sorry, 31 assists between them. Quick maths has let me down there. But it was defensively that we had a shock. Aaron Ramsdale, 26 games, he conceded 31 goals, which means Matt Turner, I'm guessing, played 24 games. I mean, Matt Turner, it's one thing I should say as well. If you haven't seen one of my videos of these before, we do simulate the season. We let the assistant manager do it. So I'm going to guess that there was an injury there for Matt Turner to have played 15 league games, but he conceded 48 goals. So how different would it have been had that not happened? I think, let's have a look at medical report. Is there a way for me to see? There we go. So he had sprained knee ligaments in September, which he was out for 6 weeks. Sorry, that was September 2022. So yes, September 2022. He also had a twisted ankle in September, so that's 9 weeks, and he missed 2 months with a dislocated shoulder. Aaron Ramsdale's missed about half of the season. How different could it have been? Well, we'll never know. But anyway, let's show you how we did with AC Milan. So AC Milan, we performed considerably better. We finished 2nd in the league, 84 points, just 3 behind Inter. The teams in this league are quite closely matched. There's very rarely an outlier, and if there is going to be one, normally it's Napoli. Atalanta actually making up the top 4, with Roma and Juve missing out on the European, or Juventus missing out on European places. And that is without Juventus having a penalties deduction as well. I think that has been corrected on this game, so obviously that got removed. Anyway, let's have a look into this. So just going back to that, 2nd in the league, semi-finals of the Italian Cup. We were runners-up in the Italian Super Cup, and we lost to Barcelona, who are the other team we run these simulations with in the Champions League. So that kind of tells you the level of ability that Milan went into this with. So in terms of where we look in the league, 38 games, 26 wins, 6 draws, 6 defeats, 73 goals scored. We were, I think, the highest scorers in the league, and only 30 goals conceded. So again, how much of an outlier was Arsenal? But that isn't bad, really. Let's be honest. A 2nd place finish. Those 2 defeats in the run-in maybe could have won us the league, but still, let's have a look at the squad. Data hub first. And if we go to that there, if it loads for me, thank you very much, Football Manager, for being slow. Anyway, goals per game up on the league, non-expected penalty goals up on the league, conceded per game better, expected goals against better, shots per game again, creativity going forward, delivering like nothing ever before. Pass completion ratio slightly down, and shots on target was slightly up. So all in all, pretty good. Defensively, very, very good as well. Mike Minion then, let's have a look. 55 games, you can see 57 goals. 20 of those were in the Champions League, however, which is impressive. Our front line consisted of Giroud, Leao and Ibrahimovic, and they got 10, 17 and 18 respectively, sharing 17 assists. The bulk of our assists, however, come from Benacar, who got 10 from midfield. Also Tonaloni and Theo Hernandez, who is so impressive, by the way. If you are looking for a left back, I can't recommend him highly enough. Divock Origi also chipped in with 14 goals. Was he playing at all? Yeah, he was. And Charles de Ketelaere, 13. So the goals have been really shared around in this squad, which is impressive. Origi's, they were for us as well. Yeah, they were. Look at that. 12 goals in the league. Really good in terms of the squad, and where they kind of shared the goals around. So we can see why we're scoring so many goals, and we can see already why we scored 229 goals over the 3 simulations. But let's have a look at Barcelona, because obviously we know they were in the Champions League final. Let's see what we did with them. Now, in terms of the league with Barcelona, it was a complete and unprecedented disaster. 38 games, 18 wins, which is dreadful. 10 draws, 10 defeats, 77 goals, and 58 conceded. So I go back to what we said about the Milan save. Was the Arsenal save the outlier? Maybe not, because Barcelona 58 goals conceded. We will have a look at the squad in a second. Goal difference of 19, 64 points. Real Madrid unbeaten for the season, 31 wins and 7 draws, 21 goals conceded all season. They got the ton up as well, 100 points. And what's even more impressive, considering unbeaten, is Atletico Madrid were only 13 points behind them. That is really good. In terms of the other competitions, we were knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Spanish Cup by Real Hispalis. We also lost to them in the Spanish Super Cup. But we did win the Champions League. We got our big ears back at the Nou Camp by beating Manchester City on penalties 2-2 after full time. Obviously, Man City in the Champions League final in a couple of weeks' time. Is that a precursor of what's going to happen? Is that? I don't think so. I think it's coming to Manchester. But anyway, in terms of the squad, let's have a look. So Ter Stegen, he wasn't injured. He played 55 games and conceded 83. Yes, let's just do that again. 83 goals. Jesus Christ, that is bad. Up front, we had Fernando Torres, Robert Lewandowski, and Ansu Fati. 33 goals for Fati, 26 for Lewandowski, and 19 for Torres. And there was also a grand total of 30 assists between the 3 of them, which is good. Jules Koundé at right back got 11 assists, and off the bench, Ousmane Dembele got 12 goals and 12 assists. Which is pretty, it's shared around again. I think defensively is where the issues were there. But, we can't have it all. Anyway, so we know it creates. We know it's a bit weak defensively. Let's have a look at how the teams line up with it. Now, in terms of the way the teams line up, it's a 4-3-3. And it looks pretty standard. You've got your goalkeeper set to defend with pass it short, take fewer risks and ease off tackles set on. 2 wing backs, both set to attack. And these are your additional instructions. You've got things like take more risks, shoot more often. You want them to be attacking focal points, which is why you saw Koundé and Hernandez in the Milan and Barcelona saves get so many assists. 2 central defenders, both set to defend. And the instructions are the same for both. Again, we want them really going in hard. In your midfield, you've got a box-to-box midfielder on the right with loads of extra instructions. A deep line playmaker here and an advanced playmaker. Now, what I would say is a deep line playmaker and an advanced playmaker in the same team doesn't work for me. because your deep line playmaker will be looking to hit your fullbacks when they are up here, and he'll be looking to hit your wide forwards. He will skip out your advanced playmaker. So for me, having those two in the team doesn't really work. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's personal preference. If I was looking at this, I would probably have. I'd like to have the deep line playmaker here and have him as like a ball winning midfielder. I actually think having that as a ball winning midfielder would strengthen this midfield considerably. But again, it's personal preference. I just don't like having two playmakers in there. I think you need far too much creativity, and you lose that player to put a foot in the midfield. Up front, you have two deep lying forwards, both set to support, and you have your advanced attacker. Before we go into your team instructions on this, what I want to say though is there are far, far too many instructions set on these players for my liking. I am very, especially with the game engine, I am very much a believer of keep it as simple as you possibly can. But that's just me. Mentality of the team is attacking. When we have the ball, we're going to be nice and wide and pass it into space, looking for the overlaps. Remember, your fullbacks are attacking all the time. Working the ball into the box and playing for set pieces, dribbling less, but we're going to be passing it at a very high tempo. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it can work. It can work. I just think you'll be caught out of position quite a lot, but that's just me again. Counter and counter press are set up here. We're not setting up to distribute quickly as the goalkeeper. You would think with the high press we would be getting out to your fullbacks and centre backs as quick as we can, but that again is just a personal preference. And then when we haven't got the ball, it's a high line and a high line of engagement. We're stopping their goalkeeper with shorter distribution, and we're telling the players to get stuck in. I mean, the difficult thing is I'd love to give this tactic, realistically, I think the tactic is probably a 5 out of 10. Yes, there was a Champions League win, but when you have two of your teams have conceded over 100 goals, in fact, I think over 150 goals nearly in just two of the saves, and we ran three. Normally, you concede that amount over the three. There are serious defensive issues there for me. So it's a 5 out of 10 tactic. It's not a bad tactic, but it's not great. Anyway, you want to give it a go yourself. The link is in the bio. Like I say, there are ways to improve it and tweak it. It is available on Sort It Outside. I would just, if you're going to use it, make those changes. Have your ball winning midfielder and your deep line playmaker in the midfield instead of two playmakers for me. Anyway, links in the bio. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit that thumbs up. I'm glad to be back doing this content for you, and let me know in the comments what tactic you'd like me to see me do next. Also, keep an eye out for my Just Play, which will be dropping next week. I'll see you all soon. You have a great day.